How do you define strategy? Somebody give me your working definition of strategy. How would you define it? It's not like it's being videotaped, so no one's going to hear your definition if it's crazy or doesn't make any sense.
Roadmap or game plan?
Roadmap or game plan for what?
Your end-line objective or goal?
You must play a lot of sports or watch a lot of sports. So it's where where the goal line is or where your end state is. Absolutely. It's going to get us from here to there. Yep. Anybody else? Other thoughts?
Traditionally, it would be to improve your bottom line in the most efficient manner.
Yes, improve your bottom line if you're a private sector organization, right? You know, we have funding and finances, but not necessarily a bottom line. But sure, I mean, the idea of in corporate America and, you know, global corporations is to compete to make more money. To compete, we need that game plan. What else?
One of the things to add to these would be over the long term.
Right. I think you looked ahead. Yes, you did. No, you're right. Yeah, you're right. You want to make it strategic, just say long term. But you're right. Strategy is typically concerned with more of the long view or the longer term. It's not what we're working on today. Any other thoughts?
Accomplishing the mission.
It's the means or the mechanism, again, to help us get the purpose of the mission of the organization done. These are all right. And when you talk to managers, you guys, you tend to get these answers. It's about the plan, it's they're all features of strategy. I want to offer you a slightly different spin on things and challenge you a little bit. So that's part of why you're here, is to think a little differently. Again, from our colleague Jen Rivkin at Harvard Business School. His definition, or the one that they operate, and there's a lot of definitions out there. I won't say this is the best. I will say this is a good one, and we'll talk about why we're using this, but there's many other definitions. But his thesis would be a strategy is a set of choices that position a firm in an industry to earn superior returns over the long run. Okay? Now, what's wrong with this definition relative to what we do? It's a private sector definition, right? Okay, so the question is, can we make any changes that make it more workable for us? Well, here's a few I would offer. So let's think about it from the perspective of a mission-driven organization. Strategies and integrated choices that position an organization, so cross out firm and right, an organization in its environment, because we're not necessarily in an industry per se, we'll say in its environment, to earn superior, and I would say change returns to mission performance, and then we'll go back to what you said, over the long run. So I would suggest that a definition that maintains the important elements of this one and helps us focus on what we do is strategies an integrated set of choices that position an organization in its environment to earn superior mission performance over the long run. Now, given either of those definitions, what do you think the most important or some of the most important features of the definition are? What strikes you? Choices. That is, I would argue, the most important aspect of the definition. When you ask a strategist, someone who thinks, breathes, researches this, about what is strategy, they will typically distill it down to the word choices. And when you make a choice, what does that mean? You're setting a priority. You're saying some things are more important than other things. You know, the classic statement in strategy is we don't want to be all things to all people, but what do many organizations do? They go out and they try to be all things. Strategy is about making choices, about setting priorities. You know, from the finance division, we don't have an unlimited amount of money. We don't. So we have to put it at our highest priorities. But that begs the point that we have to make choices to get to those priorities. And this is what strategy is all about. Ideally, those choices fit together. They work together. The technology that we fund fits the processes that we have, that meets the needs that our customers or constituents have. And do we have customers here? We do, right? Even the FBI has customers that meets their needs. So they all need to be what we'll say is mutually reinforcing. The choices need to fit together. So this definition, again, I think if you take nothing away, strategy is about choices. And you just want to make sure that when you're having meetings, when you're talking about your priorities as a manager, you're making choices. If I'm going to do this, it means we're not going to do that.